Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag from the Heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
We are here on the Brown Sports Bag with Caverna football coach Eric Lasley. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. You guys, let's revisit last season a little bit because it was odd for everybody. But you guys ended up not even finishing your schedule. Your numbers were down to start with when the season started.
Yes.
And so all that was a challenge for you. But I imagine maybe that also helped you with the guys who were coming back, maybe to get some points across to them, because I think you mentioned that to me last year. There were some things folks needed to learn, get some points across to them that if they want to play football. There are certain expectations. Is that not right?
That is very true. Last year, as everyone knows, that was a challenge for all of us. Out of all my years playing and coaching, never had any experience like that.
Yeah.
So it was definitely something new for all of us. But for the guys that we did have out there last year, they understood. Well, they quickly understood that, we have to come together as a squad to make anything happen. Mm-hmm. And I think it was an eye-opening experience for them as well. So at this point in time in this season, we're off to a pretty good start.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with the things that we're doing, the way things are going. Last week's scrimmage, we learned a lot about ourselves. We have that no-quit attitude. Mm-hmm. I love that about the team. But there were some things we need to work on and to improve on, and then there was also some things that went very, very well. And then we will definitely capitalize on them and continue to use them.
Well, and I guess the benefit for you is you really didn't. I think you only had 4 seniors, 3 that I think played the season. One of those guys, Isaiah Stone, was back, right?
Yes.
So most of the kids that you had out last year are returners this year.
Yeah, we only have 7 seniors this year. One of them being Isaiah Stone, who reclassified, and he's going to be a big part of what we do this year. His leadership, the way he's grown over the years, I couldn't be more happier with him.
Well, and so with that, I guess one of the things is like you're not having to start over. You got enough guys coming back that whatever you were able to get done last year, you can build off of that. Is that not right?
Definitely. We're not in a brand new situation with all new kids. The bulk of the team was there last year with the addition of some new kids. So our numbers are up this year. But the guys that were there last year definitely know what we're looking to do, and they have hit the floor running this summer. I couldn't be more pleased.
Who are some of those guys that you are looking forward to seeing what they can accomplish this season?
Okay, so some of the guys that are back, Cameron Buchanan, first and foremost, he's our quarterback. He's the captain of the team. He runs that. He does a really good job of doing that as well.
Good athlete, too.
Very, very good athlete. He can play basketball, play football, can play baseball. He can do whatever.
Right.
But he has a really strong passion for the game of football, and his athleticism and his knowledge it has shown during this summer. He didn't play last week in the scrimmage. He kind of tweaked his knee a little bit. All results were negative, just a little swelling. So we're keeping him out for right now, saving him for week 1.
Yeah.
Another person that we have returning, Caleb Edwards, great athlete, really good kid. I mean, like he's fast, he's strong. He's not the biggest, but he plays like he's 6'6". I mean, great kid.
Yeah.
With them two at skill positions, and Franklin Cape, he's a returner. He's a senior this year. He grew a little bit over the summer, so he's about 6'7" now, 310.
Big old boy.
Big old boy, but he's mobile.
Yeah.
He is the captain of the line. He commands everyone to do it the right way. He's an excellent leader. I just am really, really optimistic about the way the season's going to turn out for us.
Let's talk about your schedule a little bit, because you guys are not playing the district schedule this year.
No, we're not.
You were in a district with Fulton County, which is almost as far west as you can go in the state of Kentucky.
Yes.
You had, Crittenden County in there,
Yes.
which is 3 hours away.
3 hours away.
Russellville, which is relatively close at an hour away.
Compared to the other two, that's not too bad. Russellville wasn't too bad. But I tell you, we weren't ready for that district. And I'm not saying that as a as a dig against us. I mean, numbers wise, all the teams in the district, suited up 40 plus kids. And we just didn't really have a fighting chance in that. So dropping out of district this year, the AD, the principal, and myself, we sat down and talked about it, and we just thought this would be the best thing for the program so we can build. And this also gave us opportunity to go out and kind of pick a schedule to play teams that are adequate to us, numbers wise, and so this will help build confidence.
Well, and distance as well, because that was one of the issues that you ran into last year with the COVID situation. Was so many of your games were going to wind up so far away with the busing necessary because you had to take the 2 buses and all that.
Yes,
I imagine all that was a real strain on the last year as well.
That was a huge strain. Trying to make sure that we social distance on buses, and it just wasn't profitable for the school system as a whole.
Yeah.
So I'm not too upset about not being in district. We'd like to take these next couple years to build to get to the point where we want to be. And I think we're off and running and heading that direction right now.
So as you look at your schedule, you open with the traditional rival of Hart County, right?
Yes.
On Friday night. And when you look at that game, I mean, how do you look at it? Because you're not a Caverna or Hart County person, right? You're originally from somewhere else?
I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana originally.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent time down here a lot when I was a child. My mother was born and raised in Horse Cave.
Okay.
So, I'm familiar with the area, but as far as the rivalry and what it means to the the Hart County community, I'm not a big part of that, but I do understand it. I quickly understood it when I got here. And we haven't had very good success against Hart County since I've been here as far as being competitive. I'm not really speaking on wins and losses. I'm speaking on just being competitive. But I think we have a really good shot to surprise a lot of people this year.
Well, and after that game, you mentioned, being able to set up a schedule where it's teams that you'll face that are more your size, probably more the number of players on your squad.
Yes.
But are they also distance-wise? Have you kind of worked on that part of it, or how does that work out?
Well, okay, so you got to give some to get some,
Right.
So to play teams that are adequate to our size and to be competitive, there's a little traveling involved. Bracken County is about a 3-hour trip for us. We have Trimble County, which is 2 hours and some change. But then the other long ones, they're coming to us this year.
Yeah.
So we got Jackson County on there. That's a nice little haul, but it'll be a home game for us. We're going to Fort Campbell, which isn't extremely far.
Right.
Especially the last couple of years going to Crittenden County multiple times in 1 year, always facing them first round. We're used to some 3-hour trips.
Yeah.
So, but nothing but Bracken County on our schedules over 3 hours. So, I mean, you had to travel a little bit, but I mean, it's going to be well worth it for the outcome for the program.
Well, and I guess these are programs that are kind of in the same boat. They're looking for games that they feel are competitively balanced for them as well.
Yes, they are. When trying to get this schedule put together and talking to other coaches, kind of in the same situation that we are, they were all for it. I think everyone's just looking for that competitiveness and not getting beat, 50-0 or, scoring late in the fourth quarter when the game's well out of hand. I think, it'll benefit us all. So we're looking forward to it.
Now, so you mentioned being out of the district schedule for 2 years. So these are going to be 2-year contracts. So they'll be coming to you next year.
Yes, our contracts are set for the next 2 years. So
Okay.
the schedule we have this year, we'll play the exact same schedule next year. We'll just flip home and away.
Gotcha. Who are some other teams that you have on your schedule this year?
Besides Hart County, keeping it local, we play Edmonson County. We used to play them when I first got here. Then we kind of got away from them, but we brought them back. Another school that's relatively close would be Fort Knox. We kept them on our schedule.
Yeah.
I think those are about the only two that we've played in the past. That everything else is brand new for us.
Gotcha. Now, did you sit down and come up with a schedule, or how did that come about?
Well, I mean, I had a little help. My assistant coach last year, Scott Poole, he passed away. We sat down and, we talked about it, and we said we need to play some games that, win, lose, or draw that are competitive. So, we kind of sat down and we started making phone calls and talked to some coaches who felt the same way. And, just the way it turned out. I failed to mention Nelson County.
Yeah.
They're not too far away, and they're on our schedule as well. So, we're trying to stay close to home, but at the same time willing to reach out a little bit further for the competitive edge.
Now, when you look at your team and the schedule that you have in front of you, what is a successful season for you guys this year?
I mean, looking at the schedule that we have, and definitely not trying to put anyone else down, but being honest with you, I mean, a successful season for us, we should win 5 or 6 games. I think we can surpass that number, but there's 5 or 6 games on the schedule that we should win.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going into this. We try to win them all, but there's 5 or 6 that we definitely feel like we have the advantage, just due to returners, due to the kids already knowing the system, and there's not a lot of learning involved. We're just trying to master our skills at this point.
Right.
So we feel very confident that, anything less than a 5 or 6 win season would not be successful for us.
Now, I noticed you also have a couple of Saturday games. Is that right? I think one's Berea, and is the other one Bracken? Is that
No, I think it is. Not looking at the schedule right in front of me, but I know Berea is a Saturday game, and I think you're right. Bracken is the other Saturday game, and they're back-to-back.
Yeah.
So we have 2 Saturday games back-to-back, one being away and one being at home.
Yeah, the Berea's at home, right?
Now, the Berea Saturday game, we've worked that Saturday game out the last couple of years because it's a doubleheader with our middle school.
Oh, okay.
So the first year we went up and played them there. And then last year it didn't work out so well due to the COVID situation and bus transportation. They were supposed to come to us.
Yeah.
But they weren't too thrilled about the bus having to bring 2 buses down.
Right.
So we weren't able to make that happen. But this year, hopefully things stay to where we can play. I know we're kind of getting back into a situation where, mandatory masks and all that stuff in schools, but hopefully everybody takes precautions and we're able to get a full season in.
Yeah, I'm curious about the first 3 weeks. We'll see how those go. And then hopefully people will kind of come around and
yes,
we can get things in order.
I want to play them all, but I definitely want to play more.
I want to go to them all.
We want to play more than we did last year, definitely.
All right. Is there anything else about your program or that you think folks should know about?
Well, I mean, I just think the community should come out and check us out.
Yeah.
I know we have a really good fan base, especially at the beginning of the year. Everyone always has high hopes for us. And then as things don't sometimes go so well, some of the fan base falls off. But I really think people should come out and see what we're doing. I think they'll be surprised and very, very happy with the way things are going to turn out this year.
All right. That's Coach Eric Lasley, Caverna football coach, here on the Brown Sports Bag. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
All right, it's Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
We're back on the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown, John Butler, going to talk a little bit about the opening week of soccer season, and probably, volleyball season opens today. And, golf has kept on going, got in week 2. Not as many matches in week 2 because everybody did that grind in week 1 to try to play in as many tournaments as they could. So the action slowed down for golf a little bit this past week. But let's just start out with the soccer, the Glasgow boys soccer team. I think there's some anticipation that they have a shot to be a good team this year, and they got off to a pretty good start. They tied Pulaski Southwestern, which is usually a pretty strong program, and then they beat Franklin Simpson 2-0 on Saturday. That's not a bad way to get going there.
No,
John.
It's not. I mean, those are two programs that are normally pretty good. I mean, Franklin's a good team. They're not quite up there with the Bowling Green schools, but they've been competitive. And
they in Glasgow are usually pretty much dead even.
That's exactly right. That's probably the next level in the region. It's
Yep.
kind of Franklin and Glasgow and boys. And Southwestern, as far as I know, has traditionally been pretty good in soccer. So, I think they would have to be fairly happy with their play to start off the year. 2 solid games, got a win, got a tie.
Yeah, and they I think the giving up the 3-3 score is probably a little more interesting in a lot of ways because I think the concern a little bit for Glasgow coming into the season, they lost Yahir Molina, who in the middle of their attack and especially scoring from outside the box area and that kind of stuff, that he graduated, so they didn't have him. But they did have a number of the other offensive players back.
Jackson Bauer,
yep. And Gatlin and those guys were all coming back. So that looked good for them. I think the thing they weren't as concerned about was their defense because they had a lot of those folks back, plus their goalie and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, obviously they shut out Franklin.
Yes.
Gave up 3 against Southwestern, but I think Southwestern is a really good team. So I take it ties are still around in soccer.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, if it's not a district game, then you could have an agreement, how much extra time you want to play.
No shootouts.
Yeah, but you could say you want to do it, but a lot of schools just, they may play the extra 5-minute periods and then let it go.
Go home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, it doesn't count for anything anyway. So, yeah, just let the tie stand.
Do any games count for anything? In the big scheme of things.
Well, of course they do, John. It's all about the process and getting better and playing the game.
I got you.
And that kind of thing. And there's the pride that comes with winning.
And competing.
And competing.
There you go.
Yes.
I agree with that.
It all that counts.
I agree.
Now, in terms of like the playoffs and all that, no, it doesn't count.
Okay, all right.
There's only I think 2 teams in the district. Well, there are actually 3. I think Allen County's playing a boys' district schedule this year. Their girls still are not, but so there are 3 teams in our soccer district, and we could go into my thoughts on that because I don't know. We go back to this again, pointing out does some of this stuff count? Matching up sports with the basketball districts is just nonsense to me. I don't know why they keep trying to do this, and it certainly doesn't pan out in soccer when you got only 2 girls teams in our district and 3 boys teams in our district, and then you've got the 16th district. I think you've got 2 girls teams and 3 boys teams or something like that over there as well.
Yeah, probably should combine or a little creativity.
Yes, sure. Why not?
I got you.
Anyway, so speaking of the Allen County game, that's who Glasgow plays Tuesday. And if I'm not mistaken, Allen County did not actually play a district schedule last year. I think this is their first year really playing a district schedule. Their soccer program's pretty much brand new. It's been around. This may be the 4th year of it. I think the first year they played maybe just a JV schedule. They didn't maybe played a couple of varsity games. It was a co-ed team. So they're just now kind of figuring things out, I guess you would say. And so that's a district game, so it does count for something.
I was just being slightly facetious about that, sarcastic.
I don't disagree with you though.
Yeah.
It's just
ties,
Yeah. There's no ties in sports.
That's right.
There shouldn't be any ties.
No ties.
No ties. No offsides. You just want to hang out.
I don't like offsides in soccer either.
That's fine. Now on to the Barron County girls, another team that obviously believes they're going to have a good squad this year.
A lot of good players back.
A lot of good players. As we mentioned last week, M. Hughes is gone, key scorer for them. But, they have a lot of good players back. They have a new coach in Lee McFarland. The schedule they have, by all intents and purposes, is brutal.
Very difficult.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. And that's usually the mark of a coach or program that believes they have a team that needs that test. And so they've definitely set out for it. They opened up, good win on their first game at John Hardin, beat them 2-0.
Yeah, I think they were really happy with that one. John Hardin, one of the E-Town schools. And, you can generally put soccer, you kind of know where the good teams lie, tends to be in the metropolitan areas. Because the Bowling Greens, the Louisvilles, Lexington, Owensboro, and E-Town, those areas tend to produce good soccer. They've been playing it probably longer, and everybody has probably access to better training and so forth. So going up there and getting a win is good. Obviously, I think the goals were Hallie Hills and Taylor Harlow both scored and getting the shutout. Miss DeWeese is the goaler. I mean, that's a good start for them.
Yep. Then they came back and they tied Logan County 1-1.
Yeah, I think they were disappointed in that one.
Yeah.
Now, what was difficult? They played back to back.
Yeah.
And high school
Wednesday on the road, Thursday at home.
And you can do that, but I mean, it was Wednesday, Thursday was extremely hot. And going up there Wednesday, first day of school, and they played late and getting back, and then the Logan County game 1-1 is a little disappointing. Logan's not a bad team, but they had gotten beat a couple nights earlier by Muhlenberg 10-0. Maybe it's Ohio County. I think it's Ohio County beat them 10-0. So that's probably a tie that I, probably looking back on is probably a very winnable game.
Yeah. The thing about that game is Logan County has had some good teams through the years, but they've not been very strong the last few years.
Right.
Now
the loss to Ohio, unless Ohio County is an elite team, 10-0.
Yeah, that they are sometimes good.
Right.
Maybe this is one of their years.
Could be.
You
That's
never
correct.
know.
That's correct.
But yeah, you would still think if you generally don't get beat 10-0 by a team if you're a competitive team.
Right.
And going back to the Logan County thing about that. We mentioned already the second tier of soccer. On the girls' side, Logan is usually there, Barron, Glasgow. Those are the programs that are like the next step
behind
down.
the Greenwoods and the Bowling Greens.
Yeah,
right.
and so historically, you would look at this Barron County, Logan County score and go, well, that's about right. This year, I think, going back to what you said
Right.
and what we've already discussed, Barron believes they have a better team than this.
Right.
And, today they play Monroe County. That's a team they've typically run over pretty easily. Monroe has been getting better. They've been getting better, but we'll see how much they've improved. Used to be a district game, not one anymore, in case anybody's wondering about that.
If anybody needs the district chart of sports, James would be working on that on 104.7.
Yeah, I just thought I might need to put one of those online so I can refer to it myself, because sometimes I forget who these people
district
are.
charts, what Class A,
Yes.
for what level of football, and then what level in basketball and baseball and softball for the class system that doesn't count for the postseason, but they have these inside the year tournaments. Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I will admit there are times when on the football side, here's what happens to me, because we do this every 4 years.
And Barron's playing 6A, though they're not 6A.
Yes, that's right. They're 5A by population, but they're playing up to 6A.
That's right.
And Glasgow is a 3A because 4 years ago they had a big class, and they've really not been a 3A size school for 3 years.
And they go back and forth between 2 and 3A, like Monroe.
Well, I'm trying to think. They may have been up to 3A once before, a long time ago. But, yeah, typically they've been a 2A school for most of their existence. So it'll be interesting, as we get ready for the
We ought to
spring.
have a trivia. Name that class. give awards out. Name that class. Name that district.
Well, it's kind of like, I tell you what, I was looking over the NFL preseason, and
Right.
the preseason is like he's still in the league kind of question, because you see some of these people playing in some of these games, and they're never going to see the light of day if they're even on the team once they make the cuts. So it's kind of the class and what team is in, what school is in what class and what district kind of fits that same
That's
kind
right.
of what district are they in again situation. Anyway, on to the Barron County boys. They opened with a good win there over Hart County, but then they lost to LaRue and they lost to Warren East. And I think the thing Coach Mercer was most concerned about this season, having lost midfielders and defenders and goalie, was making up the difference there. And those losses, and I guess even in the win over Hart County, it's not that the new players can't play the positions, but they've got to learn how to do it. And these teams, in the case of Warren East and LaRue County, they got a couple of guys that if you make a mistake, they're going to burn you, and that's kind of what happened in both those games. And they've just got to clean that up. And going back to, are the games important? I guess they are, because you can work on this stuff in practice, but it's kind of like any sport. The people you're practicing against, you kind of learn them and know what they're going to do. When you meet a new team, you start seeing some things you haven't seen before.
So they had a busy week too in the heat. They played 3, went 1 and 2. The good news is for people who were curious about it, Aiden Eichen is back. So he's back from just transitioning to basketball. Macy Lockhart in basketball is back playing soccer for the girls on the girls soccer team. And Aiden Niken, who tore his ACL in basketball, he made his first appearance in the win against Hart County. I think he scored 3 goals too.
Yeah.
So
you had 3 goals and an assist.
That's right. So that's the good news for both programs. And the Glasgow girls have not played yet, but they play Barron on Tuesday.
That is correct. Yeah.
Side note is Greene County girls. I know we're not a lot of Greene County soccer fans around here, but they just started a soccer program last year and had not won a game. And they had their first career win. Surprised me. Friday, their first career win was against Warren East 2-0.
Really?
After not even being competitive last year, they got a really good freshman class.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, of course, Lucy Patterson's not out there torturing people.
No, but Warren East has a long tradition of.
Yeah, you would just think.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the best team at Bowling Green, but I wouldn't think Greene County's first career win would be against the Bowling Green school.
Yeah, you would probably mark it down as one of those guys.
10-0s.
Yeah, so one of those programs over in their neck of the woods, they'd be more likely to get the win against. Yeah, because Warren East is another of those. Barron, Glasgow, Logan, Warren East is also in that group of second-tier programs through the years on the girls' side.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good win for them. And probably talking about shocking defeats, I'm sure Warren East folks, maybe that's one of those moments where the coaches keep telling you, don't take it for granted, and you go out there and take it for granted, and the next thing you know, you took the loss.
That's correct.
So, the Glasgow girls have not opened yet. Barron County's boys, they play again today against Bardstown. That's going to be another tough one for them because Bardstown always has some good speed. But the Glasgow girls play Barron County tomorrow. Those are the only 2 teams in the district, Glasgow and Barron County on the girls' side. So that'll be pretty interesting. Volleyball season opens today. All 3 of our local teams are playing. Barron's at Cumberland County, Glasgow's at Edmonson County, and Caverna hosts Fort Knox. So they're all going to jump right out of the gates and get some games in. So should be interesting. Yeah,
it's that season, as you said, begins, and it's about a 2-month season, and we'll see how it goes.
Yep. I'm interested because especially Barron, they've got a lot of pretty good players that are coming back in terms of like experience and that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I think Coach McMurtry felt good about her squad, and then Coach Rigdon, she feels good about where her program's going, and was liked the way that things were going. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to talk to Caverna's coach, but if some of those guys that they had playing last year are back playing, they'll have some good athletes out there. They're all basketball players first, so that we'll see how that works out. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes, it's just a way to stay in shape and get ready for basketball season.
Yeah, the volleyball is neat to watch. I got a big run last year out of watching UK win the national title. I thought that was super play. And Western got to the, I think, quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And then we're coming off an Olympic champions, a gold medal with the women.
Yep.
So, when that sport is played well, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, man, the Olympics were impressive.
Yeah, it was very impressive. But UK's run was impressive, too.
Yes. Well, just watching, I guess, talking about what you played well, watching the Olympic team.
Passing, blocking, spikes, the athleticism at that level is quite impressive.
Yeah, it really is. All right, it's Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
We're back here on the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown, John Butler. John, it's officially football season.
It is.
We've seen some NFL preseason games over the weekend, and this coming Friday we will see some high school football games. Before we get into that, let's talk about this part a little bit.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, because there have been already a couple of cancellations around the state. Now, I was going to tell people this. There's a guy named Nate Bryan. He used to work for the News Enterprise, I think it is, in E-Town. He's kind of a freelance sports writer now. And he had a thing the other day where he was explaining what the KHSAA's ruling is on the, if a team has to forfeit due to COVID. Okay. And the deal is, if the two schools, if one school can't play because they are in COVID quarantine, then they basically forfeit the game, and the other team gets the win.
Yeah, that's not the case last year.
No, this year they're kind of following the same policy as the NFL has, which is basically putting the onus on the schools and the coaches and the players to be diligent, I suppose.
I guess. Yep.
And, because the NFL basically said if you miss a game, we're
right.
moving games around. We're not doing that again this year. KHSA seems like it's kind of followed that same.
College, too.
Yep, college as well, that same guideline. So, but one of the things that he did have in his little report that he had was that if the two schools agree to just cancel the game, so to speak, so it's a mutual agreement. One team doesn't get the win, the other team, the forfeit still occurs to the team that can't play. But the other team can then schedule another game if they can find another game. So there is the option. I think this one came out of Murray and Crittenden County. I think is who it was. Crittenden County was supposed to play at Murray this coming Friday. They can't play because of quarantine, but there's a mutual agreement, so Murray is looking for another game on Friday. So a team could still play a game, and I don't know how that affects win-loss and all that, other than the other team loses a game.
No, a forfeit is one team wins, another team loses.
Yeah.
If they just mutually agree not to play, then it's not considered anything.
Right. So, that was kind of what he was explaining, and I was trying to figure that stuff out because people were asking those questions. But anyway, the reason that's kind of important for us is because Barron has been in a COVID shutdown for
10 days.
A week, 10 days, and some of the players will be back today, some back Wednesday. As far as I know, we'll just have to see. But as far as I know, the game is still on for Friday. Well, it is still on for Friday. We'll just have to see how the rest of this week goes, I guess. So what I'm saying to folks is just pay attention, be diligent. If something changes, I'm sure Warren Cunningham, the AD, will let us know. The school district will let us know.
Yeah, we'll
let you know.
My advice is don't drive to any game that you're planning on going until you first find out if the game's on.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it's so strange, and I do believe the first 3 weeks are going to be a challenge because everybody's coming back to school and that kind of thing. Even with the mask mandates, that's still going to be a challenge because community spread situation.
Yeah, the mask mandate doesn't stop you from being quarantined.
No, right.
Whether if you're in class or whatever, unless you're vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to be quarantined.
Right.
So, but I do think the first 3 to 4 weeks could be a little bit rocky at places.
Yeah. So we're just going to have to cross our fingers and hope everything works out fine, and we have every game that we're supposed to have on this schedule this year, and nothing gets canceled or changed. If it does, we'll try to keep you informed. With that said, we do have some games, and the first one up, let's talk about this Glasgow and Woodford County game. That's the Don Franklin Scotty Bowl that is this Friday at Glasgow High School. Glasgow plays at 8.
Game.
Yes.
Second game.
Yeah, they play at 8. And we saw Woodford a couple of years ago playing at Barron.
Yeah, they came in and wore Barron out pretty much. I think it's like 42-14.
Mm-hmm.
They had a nice collection of athletes and speed and so forth like that, but they still have not quite got over the top. They're a 5A school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've ever made a very deep run in the playoffs, at least not in the last 10 or 12 years.
Right.
So it's a team that I don't think Glasgow would put them on a schedule if they didn't think they could play with them.
Right.
And with all the returning players that Glasgow has, I think the game would probably be close. I'd be very surprised if Woodford beats Glasgow.
Well, and the thing about a couple of years ago with Woodford, you mentioned the talent. They did have talent, but you could tell that in certain ways they were not. They still hadn't grasped football totally. Like they had athletes, but they didn't really have great football players.
Glasgow is not your typical 2A or 3A team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. I mean, they've got speed. They always have numbers. I've never seen a Glasgow team that had low numbers.
Right.
I mean, they're always in the 50s and 60s and so forth. That's plenty.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're some Class A school playing a 6A school. They can, by far, hold their own. And I just think with their players back, Their skilled players in particular, and their defense should be really good. Glasgow's defense is going to keep them in any game they play.
Yep.
I don't expect Woodford to beat Glasgow.
No, I think it could be an exciting game because Woodford will have the physical talent to compete. But I do think that Glasgow you mentioned the defense. I mean, they have everybody back that they need, minus Mason Bragg. Now they're gonna miss him. But, I mean, their leading tackler is back, Jaden Wyrock. John Carter Myers is back. A lot of those same skilled guys also flip over and play on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line looked pretty good. They had a scrimmage at Logan County the other day, Friday. You could tell they missed their scrimmage the week before because the other team had to cancel because of COVID. And you could tell probably for the first 10 or 15 plays that they had missed that week. Or that, this was their first scrimmage.
Plus it was hot.
And you could tell that too. But once they kind of got into their rhythm a little bit, they really started clicking pretty well, I thought. And, going back to expectations as we were talking about earlier, Coach Garmin didn't shy away from the fact that they have a good senior class. They got a good sophomore class. They got a good mixture of players in there otherwise. And they have high expectations for this year.
You should embrace it.
Yeah, and he certainly did.
Right.
I love it when a coach does that, when they say, yeah, we believe this is our opportunity, to really make some noise. And they don't shy away from it, and they don't shy away from it with their players.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with them, and it's not like Glasgow ever has low expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, their tradition is too good. I mean, they don't have low expectations anyway. But this year in particular, they definitely have an opportunity, staying healthy, to make a deep run this year. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at last year, they lost that game to Cal in the regional final there, 28-20. The game was really a 21-20 game. The difference, they gave up a late score to get the ball back, basically.
Yeah,
and so the difference was basically a missed PAT earlier in the game. But they were dead even with them. They were a team that was real close to making that run last year. And like we just talked about, a lot of those same dudes are back. Failed to mention Hunter Scott. He's a key part of everything as well. So they got all those guys back, and it looks good for them. Again, I'm interested to see how it goes with this Woodford County team. They're going to be it'll be an interesting game. I think it's an interesting game to start with.
It is.
Versus some of the ones they've had in the past.
I agree. This is a better opponent in the bowl game than they've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Barron opens at Metcalfe County on Friday. That game's supposed to be at 7 p.m. You'll be able to hear that game with you on the call as well.
That's right.
With Jay Turner. And is Robert doing that with you guys this year?
He's going to do some. I mean, he's moved in. He's taking a job as assistant principal.
Yeah.
So he's got some other responsibilities. But I think for the road games, I think he's planning on going to a lot of them. Okay,
good. So definitely you and Jay Turner on the call Friday night there at Metcalfe County.
Should be a tough one. I mean, Barron is, like I said, you have no idea how they're going to react to the days off they've had in the missed practice.
Yeah.
And I know it's got to be frustrating to coach, especially this is Coach Muse's first go-around. You got everything planned out and how you want to do it and improving and this and that, and then you have this shutdown. That's tough. And Metcalfe, by all indications, is sitting on a really good year.
Yeah.
I mean, they have taken some lumps a couple years ago. Last year, they took a huge step forward, and they've got everybody, for the most part, back. They got a lot of returning players back.
Yeah.
Quarterback in particular. The Dial kid is a really good player. And Metcalfe, I think, is sitting on a really good year. This will, even if Barron had not missed, this is going to be a tough game for Barron.
Yeah. I know LJ was excited last year for this year in the sense of he even if the guys who had the opportunity to do the do-over year had not, he still felt like he had a good team coming this year.
Right.
And so, as you mentioned, some of those guys stuck around and just doubled up the talent.
Well, they're definitely the favorite in that district.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Green, Clinton, and Monroe.
Yeah.
Definitely the favorite.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of it has to do with staying healthy, with the numbers. That's always a big key with Metcalfe with their numbers, staying healthy, but they always do a really good job. They got kids that play both ways, but it seems like at the end of the year, most of them are still standing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, going back even when Larry Harbison, LJ's dad, was a coach. One of the things about Metcalf's teams year in and year out, no matter how many they had or what the talent level was, they were going to compete.
Yes.
They were going to play hard. They were going to hit hard. They're going to do all those things.
They take a lot of pride in their program, and they take pride. And I think it comes from the Harbisons.
Yeah.
Whether it's LJ or his dad, they just take a lot of pride in their toughness and things of that nature. And they've got a system and a style, and it seems to, if you put the right players with them, and that's the thing, when you're in a small school, you're not always going to have the players.
Right.
But you put the right players in them, and they've proven that, they can win games.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they've been right on the cusp of the state finals 3 times, I think, during Larry's time as the head coach. They haven't quite gotten there with LJ's squads yet, but like you said, this is a year that I think they've been looking forward to, and we'll see how it goes for Barron. It's just going to be
Well, I'm interested to watch the new offense. They switched to the wing T. Again, it's that 10 days off when you're putting in a new offense is problematic. You lose that repetition. So for the defense, pretty much stays the same.
Yeah,
but I was looking forward to seeing, how the parts fit.
Yeah.
Jamison Bowie's back as quarterback. It's the first time in a long time that Barron's had a 3-year starter at that position. They've moved some players around to fit the wing T. And Ryan Shirley's their leading tackler. They're back. So, they've got some good Gage Allen. Good players are back.
Yeah.
How it fits and with the new offense and then with the quarantine situation remains to be seen.
Yeah, and in their scrimmage with Warren East, I thought their defense looked pretty good overall. The offense did struggle, but
Which
I think
is to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, just getting in the new system. I think Bowie had been only back for a week from the Governor's Scholars, so he hadn't gotten a whole lot of work in that offense in the preseason. And so, yeah, it's going to be – I mean, I'm guessing they'll have to scale back the offense and just be as vanilla as they can to just probably do what they need to do to get the game played. I would imagine, after having the 10 days off. Meanwhile, then Caverna plays their rival Hart County on Friday at 7. We heard from Coach Eric Lasley at the beginning of the show. He's pretty excited. They had last year. They just ended up shutting down the program in terms of not finishing out the season, numbers wise, injuries, the whole COVID situation. They were short to start with, but he did tell me that he feels like the guys who were there last year missing out on that opportunity, they showed up this year a lot more serious about what they were doing. And he said they've had no issues, discipline issues. They've had no issues, they've done what they were supposed to do. They've worked hard. And then I went over there and interviewed the seniors last week. They have some good-looking players. Their quarterback is back, Cameron Buchanan. He's a good athlete. So, and they had some guys who had come out who had not played last year. So the numbers were up. I think he said he has 26, which is not a bad number for Caverna, especially in recent years. They've been pretty low. Yeah,
it's been really low. And, it's a program that, quite be honest, has really, really struggled.
Yeah.
Struggled with numbers and what you start off with the year is not always what you end in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And if any school could use a win and some good fortune in football, it's Caverna.
Yeah,
because they have really, really struggled.
Well, and they're doing the non-district schedule this year and next year, sort of like Barron did, sort of like Logan did, to try to get those numbers up.
Yeah.
Plus their district, it was Fulton County, Crittenden County, and Russellville. It's 4.5 hours to get to Fulton County from here.
Right.
That district was kind of ridiculous anyway, in terms of just geography of it.
And you may have to go play them twice.
Yes, exactly.
Because you play within your district, and normally that's a close game, but not in that district. You could make 2 4-hour trips.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah, you could drive to other states and play people.
That's correct. That's right.
So anyway, they're not doing the district schedule this year or next year, just trying to get the program back on solid footing. I guess it has worked for other programs.
Worked for Clinton.
Worked for Logan. When they stepped out of that for a couple of years. So it's gone well for some of these other programs. So good luck to them. We'll be seeing them on some of these here Friday nights. All right, it's Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
John, I mentioned earlier that the NFL preseason is sort of like he's still in the league kind of thing. I mean, there were two of them that struck me. When the Titans played the other night, looked okay overall. And Matt Barkley came in there and was playing quarterback. And I was like, I didn't know that dude was still in the league.
One reason why is we didn't have preseason last year.
That is true.
And preseason oftentimes is the only opportunity, especially for some of the backup quarterbacks in particular, to even play.
Yeah.
If your quarterback stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, this has given a glimpse of Mike White. Is right now battling for the backup quarterback of the Jets, former Western Kentucky football player. And he was in fact, he took second-string snaps against the Giants. Yeah. And I thought I didn't remember him on a team last year, and he's up to second string.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up being like on a practice squad or something. I think, was it the Dolphins or somebody like that?
I'm not for sure. For sure, but I'm happy for him. That's great.
Yeah.
Got to hold on to that position, though.
Yeah, and then Colt McCoy was another of those that I was like, he's still in the league?
Now, Colt, he's been around for a while, but he's had several starts at Washington throughout the years.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's done pretty admirable when he has been given an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, those were a couple that just struck me. You mentioned WKU and White. We also saw the Titans signed Deion Yelder, former WKU tight end. Looked good, in college and all. And he was a guy I thought would have an opportunity to play in the NFL just because of his size and his speed. And hopefully that works out. Former, I guess, Kentucky players playing for the Titans has gone okay. I think they've had 2 or 3 different WKU players on their team through the years. So, I mean, that's not bad at all.
No, not at all. And, this is fun. I mean, the season starts. They reduced the preseason down to 3 games.
Which I like.
They added a game to the regular season. Now it's 17 games rather than 16. Mm-hmm. And they reduced one of the preseason games. So it's a couple more weeks and they'll it'll be starting. It's amazing. It's a great time of year. That's September when we're not quite at September, but September's a really fun time of year because college football is starting.
Yep.
Your baseball playoffs are starting to get rounded up, and then of course you got all the high school stuff going on too. It's actually a neat time of year.
Do you like the NFL preseason?
No, not really. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I had it on.
It doesn't count, right?
No. I mean, I watch it for fantasy football purposes. To be perfectly honest with you, that's my 2 fantasy football leagues. So I'm trying to get a grasp on certain things a little bit. Yeah. I was interested in Trevor Lawrence. Thought he looked pretty good. Justin Fields for the Bears came in and played really well. Mm-hmm. I mean, he looks like I cannot see how Andy Dalton holds him off. I mean, they can name Andy Dalton the quarterback, but the pressure, Dalton will have to win every game to keep that pressure from the fans. The fans want that rookie quarterback, and he looks good too. Yeah. So I thought those 2 quarterbacks look good, and even Zach Wilson of the Jets looked good.
Yeah.
Matt Jones looked good. I'm sorry. Yeah. The only one now they gave Trey Lance a lot of instant. I don't know credit. He threw a great long touchdown pass for the 49ers, but he was only 4 for 15. Now, that doesn't sound too good to me.
Well, and I think he's the biggest project to me of all those quarterbacks that were selected. I know a lot of people thought it might be Justin Fields, but really,
no, Justin Fields is a proven quarterback.
Yeah, I thought the knocks on him were just unfair.
I did too.
He was. I mean, he proved that he was both tough mentally and physically playing for Ohio State.
I agree 100%.
So, but yeah, I think our man with the 49ers is the one that is the biggest question.
They rolled the dice. They traded a ton of players to get him.
Which was so weird, but I mean, I guess maybe they think he fits what they want to do. But
we'll see. Could have had Justin Fields.
They should have taken Justin Fields.
We'll see. I mean, they know more about it than we do. We'll see.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
I mean, well, I can't. It's hard to question the 49ers coaching staff and that kind of stuff because they have done well. So, it's not like we're talking about the Jets
right.
or whatever who have constantly not done well. I mean, the 49ers have been successful when they're healthy. Last year they were brutalized.
Probably
injuries.
the most injuries of any football team last year.
Yeah, so I mean, he may not be their starter. I mean, it may be somebody else. It may be Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G is going to be the starter.
Yeah,
they're all in to try to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, he will start this year.
Yeah, they've got to be all in to win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, because their window's open right now.
Right.
All right, it's the Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for listening, and be sure and join James and John once again next Monday at 4 for the Brown Sports Bag, a local weekly sports machine presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Coming soon to your FM dial, this is Fox Sports Radio, WCDS Glasgow, AM 1230.